2016 marks the 114th edition of the Head of the North, the Queen of the Classics, Paris-Roubaix.
Sentado en la terraza de la plaza, estoy mirando la peña que se va por el barrio chino de la vida, que yo me tomo la vida como la flor de tu alma.
This year's Paris-Roubaix is 257.5 kilometres long, starts in Compiègne and finishes as ever at the Velodrome in Roubaix with 1.5 laps.
Yeah, along the way they will be dealing with 27 of these famous pavé sectors that characterise the race. The cobbled roads, and brutal cobbles they are as well. TV just never does justice to just how rough these roads are.
Yeah, it really doesn't, does it? Now the sectors are graded depending on their severity. So 1 star is the easiest and 5 stars is the hardest. The first 5-star sector that the riders are going to face is the Tenek-Another, and that's probably the most dangerous part of the whole race, for more ways than one in fact.
Yeah, although the riders will have already faced 9 sectors of pavé, virtually the entire peloton will be hurtling into the forest of Arenberg, which is slightly downhill at around 60 kilometres an hour, and this is really where the race starts proper. And many pros will say you might not necessarily win Paris-Roubaix at the Forest of Arenberg, but you can certainly lose it.
Yeah, you definitely can. Now, from that point onwards, it is very much a whittling down process with crashes, mechanical problems and bad luck seemingly having as much of an effect as simply having bad legs. And then 14 sectors later, they will arrive here, which is the Carrefour de l'Arbre, the final 5-star sector of this race, which is often pivotal in the finale.
Now, this may look fairly innocuous and uninspiring, but come race day, this is going to be packed with spectators passionately cheering on the riders. And the reason being is it is just a great place to watch. This sector is often the final launch pad for riders looking to take that famous solo victory.
That this 2.1 kilometre sector is so brutal, combined with the fact that the end of it comes with only 15 kilometres to race, makes it an ideal place for the strongest to try and make their move. Although it is worth saying over the last couple of years that quite a sizable group has still been in contention inside the last 10Ks.
Now, what we can't be sure about is whether the fact that larger groups are making their way to the Roubaix Velodrome here is down to there being more riders at a higher level, or whether it's just a weather thing. So it's been 14 years since we've had rain on the day of Paris-Roubaix, and we haven't had wind for a long time either. At least not wind in the right direction to really split the race up.
Maybe we should do a rain dance.
Should we leave that to Matt?
Yeah. Could rustle you something up if you wanted.
Yeah, can you do a wind dance as well? What we're after is a strong tailwind. Yeah, no, that's good. A strong tailwind, or preferably crosswind, but what we definitely don't want is a headwind to keep the bunch together so that guys can shelter.
But that said, riders are still going to need to be pretty flexible with their race plan and their race strategy, and positioning is absolutely vital. They've got to make sure at the right time, especially at the crucial pavé sectors. And then you've got to decide whether you go long or leave it for a sprint, and that just depends on how tired the peloton is. So going long, you need a fatigue peloton, and if you wait for a sprint where there's going to be possibly quite a few pairs of fresh legs left, I guess.
Paris-Roubaix is the one race day of the year where we see riders and teams make some pretty significant equipment changes for the day itself. So over those cobbled sectors, comfort, if you can call it that, is of the utmost importance, as is handling and traction too.
Yeah, it's pretty much definitely not comfort, is it? It's damage limitation. Now, the main thing that teams will do is to change the width of the tyres that the riders will use. So most of them will go for a 28C wide tyre, some up to a 30 and maybe even more than that. But there is a knock-on effect, and that is clearance between the tyre and the frame. So you see, most race bikes will probably just about fit a 28C wide tyre in there, but there's not going to be enough clearance to account for any mud, such as Dan has ably demonstrated on this bike here. And on wet days, that could be really, really important.
Yeah, and that means we get completely different sorts of frames as well. Now, most manufacturers will have an endurance type bike, to allow for the wider tyres. Now Trek, for example, have the Amani, and Specialized have the Roubaix.
Yeah, so once you've got yourself the bike with the bigger clearances and the bigger tyres as well, what a lot of people still don't quite realise, at least just how important it is the tyre pressure itself. So 120 psi versus around 60 or 70 is the difference between winning and just dragging yourself around to the finish here in Roubaix. That is if you get here without bouncing off into a hedge.
But it's actually even more tricky than that, because different tyres lose pressure at different rates. So it's actually basically an art form.
And many teams keep the exact tyre pressure of various riders a closely guarded secret too.
We know this because we've asked.
We did.
They
They wouldn't tell us.
I'm not telling you mine.
Less than 6.
Indeed.
Fabian Cancellara. It's 3 years now since Cancellara took his 3rd victory at Roubaix. This year, his final year of racing, he has looked outstanding. And just missing out on the Tour of Flanders will surely give him even more motivation to take his 4th and therefore last win here. Peter Sagan, the world champion, has never stood on the podium at Paris-Roubaix. His best performance is 6th, and that was back in 2014. Although he does appear to be a different rider now with the rainbow bands on his back, not least because he's just won his first monument, the Tour of Flanders. The last world champion to win at Paris-Roubaix was Bernard Hinault in 1981. So can Sagan break that 35-year cycle? Sepp van Mark. A surprise second behind Cancellara here 4 years ago, Sepp van Mark looked like he was set to be the next dominant force in these races. However, he is still yet to win one. He's looked strong this year though, with a brave 3rd place last week in Flanders, and he has got a decent sprint from a small group. That's if he's still got any legs left though. Alexander Kristoff. Kristoff started this year as strongly as in 2015, a year when he went on to win the Tour of Flanders. However, he does seem to be missing quite that level of form at the moment. He hasn't had the legs to go with any of the moves so far in the Cobble Classics. But Roubaix is a different beast, not least because it is entirely flat. So if a large group can test the finish, and he's in it, his sprint is second to none. Tom Boonen. Boonen, along with Roger de Vlaeminck, holds the record for the most Paris-Roubaix wins at 4. A win this year would see him therefore become the most successful rider ever at the Hell of the North. However, in reality, given his current form, this is going to be difficult. Ethics desperately need success to save their Classics campaign, and the question is, can the team deliver under such immense pressure?
Well, we managed to get the first 2 predictions right for the Tour of Flanders, which, well, looking at our past record, wasn't too bad at all. But we're en route back from Flanders, and it's time for our Paris-Roubaix predictions, and we'll start off with you, Si.
Right, well, with Peter Sagan's victory in the Tour of Flanders very much fresh in my mind, I'm going to have to steal him and say that he is my favourite for Roubaix. I mean, I know he hasn't had a result as such there before, but he's clearly the strongest bike rider in the world at the minute on the roads of Northern Europe, and so I can't bet against him.
Fair shout. Dan?
I am going for Sepp van Mark. Despite the fact that he is clearly a percent or 2 below the likes of Cancellara and Sagan, I just love him to win his first monument. Plus he's a former teammate.
And he is in great form at the moment. Well, I'm going to go for Fabian Cancellara. Again, another obvious choice. The way he rode Flanders, especially up the Old Mont, was absolutely amazing. He's in fine form. He's one of the best riders on the pavé, as we know. And I think more importantly, he's very, very hungry and looks mean.
We know how to live on the edge, don't we? Picking a top 3 from Flanders for Roubaix.
We do.
Yeah. You haven't mentioned as well, by the way, one of the other reasons that Fabian might do so well is that his new bike is 14% more vertically compliant at the rear end.
He's going to be unstoppable.
Yeah.
After all that, I, for one, cannot wait for Paris-Roubaix this year.
Going to be absolutely fantastic. In the meanwhile though, if you click right up there somewhere, you can find a link to the video where we looked at some cobbled classic tech.
Yeah, or if you want to know the top 10 Classics facts, then you can click through to video just down there.
No, not just down there, right down there.
Oh, sorry, mate. Right down there.
It's a really wide shot, yeah. And to subscribe to GCN, somewhere in this very wide picture will be the globe.
Click on it.